That definitely sounds like me. Um, Dakota Johnson. You know what's funny is, in addition to Twitter exploding about Trump blowing Bubba, I don't think we know who Bubba is, right?
That's
But
Bill
yeah,
Clinton.
just like memes everywhere. It is crazy. X was blowing up over people saying that Glen Powell looks like a capybara. Do you know what a capybara is?
Yes, no.
Those large rodents from Mexico. I want one so bad. But I don't
He
know. He
looks
kind of
like
does.
Ryan Gosling from Temu. That's what he looks like.
He
He's a
kind
Temu
of
version of
looks
Ryan
like
Gosling.
him. He kind of looks like capybara, right? But you know who he totally reminds me of? The grown-up bully Ginger from Christmas Story.
Oh,
that guy. They have similar looks, and they're both gingers. So maybe he's like dipping into that.
He was the lead
DNA.
in Uwe Boll's Postal, right? Is that the same guy?
Yes. I love that guy. So sexy.
That movie is funny. That's the one Boll movie I can watch over and over again. It's so not PC.
Hey, you want to watch some TV or something?
Skip it. Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Nothing but foul language and toilet humor.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
I need these things! I need these things! Tell me, do you want to go? We're stopping on color line.
Oh, no way, Jose.
This just in, go to hell!
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Hello, friends and listeners. You have a brand new Watch Skip Plus. We are a movie review podcast with a lifestyle twist. Maybe that last part is going to be corrected sometime soon. I don't know. We're pivoting. What can we do? My name is Jose, also known as Cupcake, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mike the Wildebeest. And guess what? We released our first ever historic creature feature double episode where we reviewed Frankenstein and Predator Badlands. And I think we had so much fun doing it that we're just going to do it again, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So we are doubling the double.
Yes.
Or, I don't know, whatever. So, yeah.
We're
Mike, how have you
plussing
been?
another theatrical film, we'll say. So watch, skip, plus.
There you go.
Our plus is going to be a joint double film.
I think the seed of the idea of doing some of this stuff came from when we were reviewing Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks. And I was thinking to myself, wait, he blew up and all he does is talk for like 6 minutes. Okay, about a movie. To our friends and listeners, we know you're out there and we love you. Keep supporting us, keep spreading the word about it. But like, it just dawned on me that, like, I don't know, maybe we should shorten the runtime. Who knows?
Yeah,
we'll figure it
try.
out.
Different things.
What are we reviewing this week?
This week we are reviewing The Running Man remake, and then we are reviewing The Keeper. Two pretty big directors, Edgar Wright and Oz Perkins. We've done Oz Perkins joints before, you and I have.
Oh, yeah.
We've not done an Edgar Wright. Have you done one on the show? I don't think. Did
No,
you do
I don't
Soho?
I don't think we've done an Edgar Wright film, and we should talk really quickly about Soho. Let's start with Running Man. We're going to dive below the line. This is based on a Stephen King novel. Now, for you younger friends and listeners, Stephen King wrote several stories under a pseudonym named Richard Bachman, and this was one of the short stories or novellas that came out, The Running Man, famously adapted in the 80s, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was directed by, I want to say, his name was Michael Glazer, but he was one half of Starsky and Hutch, the old television show. So David Soul, and then I believe it was Michael Glazer. That also starred Maria Conchita Alonso, who I am obsessed with. When she cropped up in Predator 2 with that short hair, I was like, oh, she is banging. Let's get her. I love her. So this is the second adaptation of that. You mentioned his name, director Edgar Wright. British filmmaker. He's known pretty much for like his inventive narratives, and then I guess what the young kids would call needle drops, where he uses music to propel his narrative, and he often picks really great songs to punctuate the mood. He worked on 2 British comedies, Spaced and Asylum. That's where he met Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and that's what brought us the 3 Flavors Cornetto trilogy. Do you want to let the friends and listeners know what those movies are?
Yeah, so Simon Pegg and what's his name? Frost?
Nick Frost.
Nick
Yeah.
Frost. Yeah, so they worked together with Edgar Wright and did 3 pretty great films. It all started with Shaun of the Dead, which I talked about being the first film I've ever pirated. Shame on me, but I couldn't get it in the States, and I did not want to wait for it. So I love the hell out of that movie. It is part of
Very
my
funny.
being. I love it so much. Then we got Hot Fuzz, which also is a huge part of my being. It just does nothing but make fun of buddy cop movies.
Lethal Weapon, like
Lethal
all
Weapon.
of that shit.
The finale is total Lethal Weapon. It is so great. And then the third, not quite as successful, but still fun. It's called At the World's End, which basically is a bunch of British dudes on a pub run one night fighting aliens, robots with blue blood.
Strangely, I would say Shaun of the Dead, which by the way was referenced in Scream 4. They're sitting, Emma Roberts and Hayden Panettiere are sitting in bed giggling over it, which I think is hysterical.
It was the scene where they were throwing the records, if I remember right.
Yep. But I would say Shaun of the Dead and then At World's End. I've come to appreciate that much more. Yeah, strangely, because, and the reason why is he would then follow that up with his adaptation of the graphic novel or manga series, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which has that kind of like comedy, but it's got action. That film actually featured Brandon Routh, post-Superman Bryan Singer, Chris Evans pre-Captain America.
Yeah.
And it's such a blast. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, a Utah
Love her.
hero. He would write the script for Ant-Man, but then would depart due to creative differences. And I think we all know it's now come out. Marvel's very tight with their stuff. And I guess he was like, I can't do it justice, so I'm just going to leave. Good for him. And then his last couple films, he dove into documentaries. He did the Sparks Brothers documentary, which I hear is fantastic. And then Baby Driver, which is really, really a fun movie. There's great stunts in it. It's fantastic. It's filmed great, but unfortunately, both of its leads got canceled. So Ansel Elgort and Kevin Spacey are in this, but don't let that diminish the fun of that film. It really is a fun ride. And then the last one was Last Night in Soho, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, and I keep forgetting her name, but it's like Ainsley something or other. Anyway, she's super cute. Very Hitchcockian is what I'm going to say. I know a lot of people didn't like that. What did you think about Last Night in Soho? Out of all of the films that Edgar Wright has done, it's probably the most full-on one-note serious film. There's not very much comedy in it, and it definitely is a psychological thriller. But what did you think of that?
I liked it. I like it as an homage to the things that he loves. A big Hitchcock, a lot of noir. I dug it. I dug it a lot, actually. And I've seen it like probably 3 times. But it's when I realized, Edgar Wright no longer wants to be Edgar Wright anymore. He doesn't want to be that quirky kind of Sam Raimi Jr. He wants to do his own thing and make his own way. Kind of like what Robert Rodriguez, I think, has tried to do, even though the stank of his other films still are everywhere on his new stuff.
Oh my God, Hypnotic.
Yeah.
Hypnotic. Lord. Okay, so I have never seen this before, but our writing credit is Michael Bacall, ampersand, Michael Bacall and Edgar Wright. I have never seen that where a name is duplicated. And so we've discussed this before on the show, but basically when it comes to writing credits, if you see an ampersand, it means the writer after that did a draft of the script separate of the other mentioned person. But this one, apparently Michael Bacall and Edgar Wright worked on the script, but then I guess Michael Bacall did his own draft of it without Edgar Wright, and so that's how it's credited. Bacall is actually an actor. If you Google his name, He has a very unique look. He has been in films. He gave it a go as an actor. Urban Legends Final Cut. He's also worked with Tarantino on Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, Death Proof. But he wrote a film called Manic, starring Zooey Deschanel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as romantic leads. They would later then do 500 Days of Summer, which is kind of interesting that they then hooked up again. But he wrote Scott Pilgrim, and then mainly comedies. So we got 21 and 22 Jump Street, and then Project X, which I don't care what anybody says. I fucking love that movie. It makes me laugh. It is hysterical. Really quickly, our DP is Chung Hoon Chung. He is South Korean. People will know him from his collaborations with the amazing director Park Chan-wook. So we're talking about the Old Boy and Lady Vengeance. He also would join Park Chan-wook in his English debut, Stoker. But he's also shot other really, really great films. So definitely check out his resume. Stephen Price is our composer. He won an Oscar for Gravity. He also scored Attack the Block for Joe Cornish, which I love the music in that. He did that with Basement Jaxx. He's also collaborated with David Ayer. He wrote the score for Fury and Suicide Squad. And then he's also writing or scoring Coyote versus Acme. Now, our cast, I'm just going to list these off. Glen Powell, this podcast has a long history of basically trying to halt Glen Powell from becoming a thing.
You have.
I know. Not the podcast, but me. But strangely, we have reviewed a ton of Glen Powell films. So, we've talked about Top Gun. I believe we reviewed Hitman. We did Twisters. I'm still not completely sold on his acting ability. As his film resume has been evolving, I think his thing is to put on whimsical costumes and disguises and pretend to be other people. And I'm like, if that's all you're going to do, sir, just reboot Maxwell Smart, Get Smart or whatever, and do it that way. I'm getting a little tired of that shtick. He is really gorgeous, though. Maybe that's his butt in this film. I'm not sure. He apparently has Polish and what's called, I think it's called Lipka Tatar, which basically is Belarusian background. Also Welsh and German. So that's where his good looks come from. How do you feel about Glen Powell? Am I just being bitchy?
He's fine. I don't hate him. I like him fine. Like like my little slight. Like he's like Temu Ryan Gosling. He's a step below Ryan Gosling, who I've been very loud and proud about being a big fan of. By the time we got to Drive, I was so in love with that man at that point. And that's, I think we're getting that point. Glenn hasn't made his Drive yet, but I think he's getting to that point. He just needs to hook up with that right director. I don't know if him and Edgar Wright were a good match. And I think we'll talk more about that.
We are definitely going to get to that. But the other thing that I wanted to say is, by all accounts, Glen Powell is the nicest guy in the world. He's essentially the new Tom Cruise without the ego and without the stink of Scientology. And I'm going to just say I said what I said about Tom Cruise. As much as we all love him, and I love him as well, I think we forget that there was some of that Scientology craziness. Anyway, we're going to just dive through this cast, which is so weird because these faces come in and out during this movie. And I was just like, oh, not enough time for that great whatever. So we got William H. Macy, Oscar nominated, Fargo. We love him. Lee Pace. I think we'll talk about him later, but I was like, where the fuck is Lee Pace? And then I got surprised. Michael Cera, Scott Pilgrim himself is in this. Emilia Jones, we talked about her before because she was, I've been talking up Cat Person, but she was also in Lock and Key. Love her. She's very cute. Daniel Ezra, I kept trying to figure out where I know this guy. He's a British actor, African-American British actor. He is the star of CW's All-American, which I have watched since the beginning, and I was like, who is this guy? Why does he look familiar? Jamie Lawson is in this. She's so gorgeous. She was in Sinners. When she does that thing on the stage when she's crawling and prowling. I was like, girl, I'm there. But she was also in The Woman King, a bunch of other films, just so beautiful. Like when she walked in, I was like, oh my God, she's so gorgeous. Coleman Domingo, we all love him, openly gay, British actor, so good to see him crop up and stuff. And then our boy Josh Brolin, who we talked about on Weapons, who we absolutely love. Comments about the cast before we dive into spoiler-free thoughts?
Well, you didn't mention your guy Lee Pace. Come on.
No, I did.
Oh, okay, you did.
I mentioned
You
Lee
mentioned
Pace,
him
but
quick then, but yeah.
yeah, I
he was-
did. But the thing about him, he's also openly gay. Love him.
Yep, you do love him.
Is he
He's a
openly gay? He is openly
I
gay.
thought
Yeah.
you said he was before, but you never know.
I think so. There was a rumor he was dating Richard Armitage, which I was just like, oh my God, please add me as your third. Okay. But
I thought the cast was fun, man. I mean, I liked Sean Hayes kind of doing the Tucci thing that he did in
his little cameo. Very
yeah,
good.
I liked that.
Yeah.
That was really fun. Gosh, yeah, Carl Glusman was really good as one of the bads.
Oh my God, I forgot to mention him. He's so good. I
Yeah,
love Carl.
He's really good. I like David Zayas doing his little thing. There's so many like little actors that you've seen in so much stuff, and then they come in and then Sirek kind of saves the movie. He kind of shows up and becomes the Benicio del Toro of the movie at one point. He does
actually. He's
and I'm like, what
so
the hell?
Manic. And then the whole like the hot dog thing, I was like, okay, where is he going with this? But I did love that segment.
Yeah, I did too.
But if the cast is crowded, so is the narratives. Let's start with the spoiler-free thoughts. I'll let you go first. What did you think of Edgar Wright's The Running Man?
Well, before I get into Edgar Wright's Running Man, I got to talk about my relationship with the original. I did rewatch it this week. Very different films.
I was wondering how long we could go without actually mentioning.
No, it's got to come right
original.
out. You've got to talk about it. They're very different but very similar films. I forgot how much that was a revolutionary film, right? So the first film's really about an ex-military guy who was framed for some stuff because he didn't want to hurt some people, which we need more people like that right now. Basically, he works for a regime very similar to what we got going on with ICE, just wiping out innocent people for no reason whatsoever. I was kind of shocked how much rewatching the original really, it's like, God, this is happening right freaking now.
Those themes are definitely ripe for an update, which is, I think, why Edgar Wright found this property, or at least the novel.
Edgar Wright saw Hitman and said, oh my gosh, there's the guy from the book, The Running Man, that I like so much. The guy who can be the everyman, who can go and disguise himself. Not the big buff dude who's fighting WWE guys, which is basically what the OG turns into. Just a bunch of sequences of like American Gladiator meets WWE wrestlers, or WWF at the time, wrestling and fighting Arnold and Kodo and other folks. It's very...
And the whole like corporate TV angle as well, and the fact that it was a very like have and have nots. But I should also mention, because I think the young friends and listeners who go back to watch that, they're not going to know that the person they cast as the host, Richard Dawson, actually hosted game shows.
Yep,
so like the Family Feud, all of that. And it was very meta to cast him, because to go from something like the Family Feud, which is innocuous and on television, and then suddenly this show where people are dying on live television, like it was kind of shocking back then, as was the narrative that they would fake a story to make somebody look horrible. It was like, who would do that? I'm shocked. That could never happen.
I know. And back then I was like, how are they doing this? How are they getting this alternate footage? But now the remake really plays on it. It's AI. It was always AI.
Deep fakes,
and deep
all
fakes,
of that.
which we didn't really know about back in 87. So the older film really is above and beyond its time. I wish it would have been directed by someone like Verhoeven, who could have really just eaten into the satire parts of it. And again, this, like that, has its flaws. I did enjoy the new Running Man. I'm just going to be out front with it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, but it is a very different film. It's kind of that snap to the beginning of a new revolution. So it's different than where we are and who the character is in the original. So you got to just go clean slate, realize this is very much Bachman, Stephen King's story, and we get a really kind of likable version of our Tom Cruise wannabe lead, but I don't understand why they created this whole linchpin of almost like the Michael J. Fox Yella. Don't get me angry. Don't call me Yeller. I'm gonna put up my dukes. And that's kind of what they created. Like, he's the secret mousy little family guy, but if you get him angry, he'll murder you. And they kind of kept building that at the same time, saying, but he's a nice guy who just has anger problems. But you never really get who the character is. We have a likable guy already, an everyday man who can throw on costumes and pretend to be whoever he wants to be, I guess. Whether it's an Irish-speaking pope or whatever.
My God.
But he never really runs.
Mustache.
Unfortunately,
actually, wait, he does run. There is running. And let me just say this. Powell has talked about how he talked to Tom Cruise about running, and Cruise was like, you need to film yourself because it's, you never think you're running cool or whatever. He runs so awkward. If that was him filming himself and trying to change how he runs, he's not a good runner.
I feel like he ran in the movie, so if he did, it was like a jog.
He did, but he does not have a good cinematic running. Something is happening below his knees, like his legs are kicking out at a weird different angle. And then when he chops the air like Tom Cruise, again, he chops at a 45. It looks super awkward. Anyway, keep going.
You were way over analyzing his run.
Listen, I was destined to fucking screw Glen Powell on this, but anyway, keep going.
Well, he does get stuck in a scene where he has that damn towel. I hate how they have this trope where towels just stay on people's fucking waists in movies.
They never
do. That is
this reminds me of when Tyler was saying when people have sex and they've got the blanket wrapped around their waist and stuff. No, nobody showers like that.
Nobody showers like that.
I don't know about you. The minute I wrap it around my waist and I move to the sink, it just falls. This is how it happens. Anyway, keep going. What else did you think about the film?
So I don't know if he works in it, unfortunately. And I want you to like him and I want the world to like him because seems like a likable guy. He seems like the exact opposite personality-wise from his romantic lead from a couple of years ago.
Yes.
But
Fun bags.
Yes,
Sorry.
fun bags. I did like the film, but I don't like it because of him. I like it because of everything else. But it's very much, again, Edgar Wright not being Edgar Wright anymore. I mean, he wasn't Edgar Wright in Soho, which people complained about. Let the man go outside of just doing the Raimi wannabe thing. That's what he did.
Yeah.
The quick editing, the funny quips. And even Raimi has gone away from that style. And we can see from his new thriller that he's totally going away from that style. So again, let directors cook. Let them do what they want to do. Don't expect them to continue doing the same thing. And what we get here is a solid, competent, but not great sci-fi action film. And I was entertained for the 2 hours of it, but it is too long. Again, I'm going to come at it for being probably 15 or 20 minutes too long. It does take a lot to get to the actual running. I did like showing how they're training and how they kind of have to volunteer to die on TV to make some money for their families. We don't have any crawl in the beginning like the original that kind of paints where we're at in the world. You get enough to know this is the near future, and basically there is a fascist state that's in charge, very similar to what's going on in the first, except the government runs the TV in this, which is what I've gathered. It's kind of almost like a national...
See, that's one of my big problems with this film is you had to gather what that future was like, who was really where, and it's all just thrown out in these little lines, and I'm just kind of like, this is a mess.
Little lines to change things. And then we meet Brolin, who they really should have done what they did in the first, is combined Brolin's character and Domingo and just got rid of Brolin. He's really pretty pointless in this. I did not think that he added anything except some fake teeth, but we didn't need his fake teeth. We had Domingo Coleman or whatever. We had him there to give us what we wanted. So we did not need Brolin to be the villain who comes in and shows that they're, getting involved with what the TV show, which we already knew from the original. It's obvious that they're involved in it. So I don't know. There was nothing new there, but it is entertaining. Turn your brain off. Enjoy the fast paced. Again, that's what he does. He doesn't give it up the fast pace, even though it's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. It is only slightly too long because he can really make that pace snap, crackle, and pop. But overall, I'm going to go a slight watch on this. It is not perfect. It is entertaining. It is fun, and it is dumb. It is not as good as the original. I'm going to go ahead and say it. The original, I think, is a better film overall. It is more fun. It is more campy. It is more tongue-in-cheek. This goes more into the satire, but I think we don't need that. It kind of goes hard into it, but also is more winking, whereas the original is just campy, like over the top, but also there as far as being a message. I thought it hit more being more campy. This one tries to be more realistic, but I do like what they did with $100 million. I mean, it looks great. For $100 million sci-fi film, looks wonderful. The world kind of reminded me of, oh gosh, you're going to remind me. What was the film with Bruce Willis and the redheaded Mila? The sci-fi film.
Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element. It reminded me of the Fifth Element, the way that it's kind of like the Fifth Element meets Verhoeven type of stuff. So I did like the world that was created, that Wright did. I just felt it was miscasted. A few actors were miscasted, and it's too long. But it's still fun. I mean, those who are going to just turn their brain off and who enjoyed the original, there's an Arnold cameo of sorts that you see really fast off. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
I forgot to mention that Katie O'Brien is in this. I love Katie O'Brien.
Yeah.
For my money, she doesn't have enough screen time in this, and I'm kind of pissed. But okay,
the women
so
don't get treated very well in this, honestly.
No, definitely not. All right, so my spoiler-free thoughts on The Running Man. So as you mentioned, there is a nod to Arnold Schwarzenegger in the beginning. And we are introduced to the fact that we are in some kind of dystopian future because there are doors that open on their own. I know that some doors can do that now, but not all of them. We're introduced to this future where there are these game shows where people can get seriously hurt or die, and they are apparently very popular. But unfortunately, and I think the reason why the original Running Man works is in fashioning a limited contest, right, as one show versus the original's conceit, which is you enter this game and you have to survive the 30 days, okay? I see why they went with the game show and the limited time, because this movie drags. You said fast pace. I will admit some of these action sequences, as inventive as they are, there's a really, really wonderful sequence that starts with Glen Powell in an enclosed sort of space, and then it opens up into an action scene, which is fantastic. And Edgar Wright, I think that's what's great about him. You talk about the fact that like people are complaining, it's not the Edgar Wright that I know from the Cornetto trilogy, but his inventiveness and his slyness, it's all there, and I love it. So this is a very Edgar Wright film, which is great. But the problem is with having to do this 30-day thing, I felt like the film just dragged and dragged and dragged. And so it goes from scenario to scenario where he changes a disguise. He relies on the friendliness of strangers who are railing against this dystopian future and government, which is not established very well. So the writing, unfortunately, the writing fails it right there.
Yep.
Because apparently this network has so much influence and people are stuck to the, or are they really stuck to the television? Because there's people working. It's just not fleshed out very well. It's all done really quickly just to get him into the Running Man. But I think what's happening here is, and we say this a lot, there's too many ingredients in this stew or this buffet, right? And does it want to be satirical like the original? Sorry. Does it want to play on your heartstrings about diversity and the plight of, Black families and urban families who are unfortunately scraping by and having to deal with this, intrusive government? Does it want to talk about the media and how it tricks us? It wants to do all of those things, and really most of us are signing on for a game show. We're signing on for sexy Glen Powell trying to survive, but instead there's these mini blocks where he's in disguise, he's hiding, social commentary, they try to kill him, next segment. And by the time cute little Amelia Jones shows up in her car and she's like, "Oh, you're the blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "No, they're lying to you, blah, blah, blah." It's kind of like, yeah. So okay, so Glen Powell. I do like him in this. He's definitely very much like the everyman. He's definitely appealing. He's jacked. I wanted that towel to drop even sooner. He has low arches, but it's okay. I'm letting that go. Okay. I'm letting it go. But there's not much to do in this, really, acting wise. He's definitely very solid, but like you had said, I don't know why we're supposed to commune with his character in terms of him being this man who wants to protect his family, and yet he's this rage monster. And so that satirical portion of it, because we're all outraged at the things that are happening with the media, not reporting what we think it's supposed to be, getting stuck with deep fakes, right? I mean, we're all angry with that, but why make his character that, right? Yeah. We're introduced to a Black family that helps him out. I mean, obviously urban populations, Black people are going to outnumber other races, but why that particular type of family, right?
He becomes a white savior.
I know, I was trying to avoid that, but I'm just saying you can see where I'm going with that, right?
That's exactly what he is. He's the white savior. And there's a lot of mistakes, not to interrupt you, but they throw so many social button issues without any of them really having the time to resonate.
Or connecting.
Exactly. And so they all negate each other. All to end up with an entertaining actioner that in the end is like, has this message of fighting for yourself and fighting for freedom, which I think we all want to hear right now. But it just is a kind of jumbled mess, right?
Yeah, it doesn't gel. And frankly, it's stretched on way too long. I mean, by the time we get this, day 16, I was like, oh my God, like I think that was a big mistake. The other thing before we head into spoilers is, Edgar Wright clearly loves the Arnold Schwarzenegger films Total Recall, as well as Verhoeven's RoboCop.
Oh, yeah.
So this city, the surroundings, a lot of the setups, they look so much like Total Recall and RoboCop that I could not divorce myself from that. In fact, the network logo looks so much like the Omnicore logo from RoboCop that it took me out of it. And I'm like, okay, you're trying to be meta, but you're just copying it. Like, is it supposed to be that same future? It's a mess.
Yeah, it's Wright's homages. I mean, he's trying to homage in a way that doesn't quite work, because it almost seems like he's pretending like these other films are in the same universe almost. It's weird. Yeah. I don't know what it
is weird. And I hate to say this, but I think I'm going to give it a skip. Yeah. I'm going to say that this is probably better on streaming. There's something about sitting in the comfort of your own home, watching something like fucking Frankenstein or this, that's like just way too long, that makes you say, oh, that was okay. I kind of had fun, right? But in a theater, no. It's a skip for me, unfortunately.
Interesting. For me, it's a slight watch. I'm going to give it a soft watch. It's better than the Total Recall remake. To me, I think you probably like that more. But
I did, actually. But that reminded me of the Total Recall remake, too. So,
which I thought tried to take itself way too seriously. This still has tongue-in-cheek and enough humor to make the world work, even though when it doesn't work completely. I'm okay
but it might also be taking itself too seriously. Okay, so soft watch for you,
Yeah,
skip
very
for
soft.
me.
Yep.
Glenn, I think it's gonna happen, but just try to get away from this like Inspector Gadget disguise shit. Like I'm just
Find
I'm not buying it.
Glenn, if you're watching us, which I'm sure you are, because you want to know about your low arches, just find the right director. Edgar Wright isn't it. You got to find that director who you're going to be his muse for, and you're going to
Yeah.
climb. You got to find that right person that's going to push you.
Yeah.
And be
Find your
willing to go
Tarantino.
back. Yeah, or go back with Linklater, right? Go back and do something with
Oh
Linklater again.
yeah.
Like
He's
I think
so good in Everybody Wants Some.
Yeah,
He's
good
so
with Linklater.
good.
Linklater has enough money and has a vision to bring him somewhere. Just tag along. And I hear this TV show that he's on, the football one, Chad Powers. I hear he's really charming in that. I haven't seen it yet.
Another disguise, folks.
It's
Another fucking disguise.
It's
I'm
thing.
so
He does need to get over that. Who was the actor who was known for like disguises from from Dr. Strangelove? What's his Peter Sellers, right? So he thinks
Peter
he's
Sellers,
like Peter
yes.
Sellers. No, he's
Come
not
on.
Peter Sellers.
Dude,
Come on.
choose a lane. You're either going to do comedy and disguises, or you're going to do drama.
You can't
please
beat
choose a
Peter
lane.
Sellers. He is just who he is, and I think that's
You can't be.
what they are trying
And
to
Peter
make him
Sellers
into
had better
be.
arches. Okay.
With that,
Anyway.
let's go into a quick spoiler-free.
We're going to go into spoilers, yes, and we're going to spoil
Or spoilers.
Edgar Wright's The Running Man quicker than you can say, film yourself running.
Learn to run.
So what's interesting about this is, again, I think because they're throwing so much into this, the rules of the game became overly complicated.
Way complicated. And he has to send those things at the right time every day. If he doesn't send a video, then he's disqualified. Oh, what the hell? Why do we need all these stupid rules?
But then he ignores that later, ostensibly because he's causing all of these ratings.
Because he knows that he's a ratings guy.
Yeah, that they're not going to like whatever. Yeah, but so this new Running Man has rules. You have to survive 30 days. Every day you have to film 10 minutes of yourself and then put it into these really cool fucking mailboxes that take off like a drone and deliver it, right? It's so cool. I was like, yes, please. Yes, USPS, get on that. But you have to do that, but then additionally, another extension of the game is that people, this was not in the first one, or the original Running Man, the first adaptation, but people can actually report you and get a reward. And so there is this also social commentary about people recording things and then, showing it to like a news outlet and outing people and saying, look at how this person is acting, fire them from whatever career he has.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of that, they add like all those other things, and it just becomes, and then the hunters too, right?
Yeah,
so
they have no personality.
So convoluted. The hunters have no personality. We know there's this masked guy who turns out to be Lee Pace. So the whole film, I'm like, where the fuck is Lee Pace?
Yep.
I didn't realize that he was the guy.
The first guy who went the longest, who went 29 days. There's your big spoiler. There's the big twist.
And then he gets offered to be the big hunter, and at some point Killian says to him, you could be the next hunter or whatever, which I guess I don't remember the original story or whatever, but I guess that's kind of like a can't beat them, then have them join our
That's the same in the original movie. It's the same thing. They offer him to be.
Okay.
They call them stalkers in the original movie, and I liked in the OG movie that they're like in a green room, all in like suits and ties, just like waiting for their turn. And this, they're always military. They're just faceless, except for Glusman and Pace. The rest of them are just faceless. You don't even care about them, and that's a mistake.
Speaking about not caring about them, one of those guys I forgot to mention, his name is James Freshville.
Oh, yeah.
He's an Australian actor. He was in the original Animal Kingdom, directed by David Michôd. So I was like, oh, Freshville, he's a supporting guy. He's such a good actor. I don't know why he's just supporting, but you're right. The hunters have no personality other than those two people.
Yeah.
And then even then, Glusman is a plot point because he chooses not to kill Glusman on live TV. But that doesn't come of anything other than him just kind of like Don't they kill him or something? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, they end up killing
Um,
Glusman, but
yeah,
gosh,
but
the more
then
I think about it, the
and
more
then
I'm thinking maybe this is a skip. But I enjoyed myself enough that I had a good time. I had enough, you know me, I hate long movies. 2 hours and 15 minutes. I was like, God, no. I didn't feel that
oh, they
except for in the
drag
middle.
though.
In the middle, it
Yeah,
did
yeah, yeah.
get until Sarah gets in there and kind of amps things back up. And then we get, you know, the girl in the car, which I'm glad to see her. I thought she was fine, but I don't understand why, again, we're trying to make another point that doesn't really resonate that she's being tricked by the
Yeah, well,
media. That's like a MAGA
so
eye,
she's
basically.
so she represents like the other side of society's coin. We saw the black family that's struggling and
Mhm.
knows. By the way, it's revealed that Daniel Ezra, I thought this was really, really clever and I enjoyed this. He runs a podcast about debunking the network and how
Yeah.
deep their ties in are and everything, like basically debunking the deep state, right?
Yep.
Um, but one of the reasons why I think there's so much going on in this movie and it doesn't resonate is the fact that, you know, is he saying that we should listen to the conspiracy theorists? Because, you know, on the one hand, how is the Emilia Jones character, how is she supposed to know that the government is corrupt unless she watches those things? And she
Mhm.
probably thinks that guy is a conspiracy nut.
Yeah.
So what is it really that he's trying to tell us? Maybe he's not trying to tell us, but the kinetic action sequences were just not enough for
Yeah.
me.
And if it is a
They just weren't.
state-run, government-ran network that's like in cahoots with the government to help keep you asleep, they needed to do more with it. They needed to do more to explain
Yeah.
that, how they're tied in. And because we see the freaking hunters just destroying cities, just blowing shit up without any. Whereas in the original, they're like in some kind of enclosed like arena type
Right.
of thing.
That's why that works so well for that OG. You stretch it to
Mhm.
30 days and it's just like, oh, come on, right?
Yeah, it didn't work.
The other thing too is let me just say this. That ending was some fucking bullshit. Where so they to set
Isn't
up
it
for
the
the friends and
same fucking
listeners.
ending that we got in the other Bachman movie, The Long Walk? The same fucking
Yeah.
ending. The same
Same
ending.
fucking ending. It was miserable. So basically, what happens is they kind of trick him, and they're like, you know, hey, we killed your family, so why don't you just become a hunter
That
and
ending,
put
what
your
a
anger
mess.
towards that? And so we get a deep fake of them being gunned down or whatever. But then at the end, it turns out she is alive, and
Mhm.
then he is standing across the street under graffiti that says "Richard lives," and he's all masked up, and she's like, "Oh, honey," and then they reunite, and then fuck that ending. There's no way they can be together. Like it's just ugh. I did not like that.
No, it should have ended with him shooting homeboy with pulling the gun out on Brolin and just been at like adding that little extra bit of them going off together was stupid. But either
Way
way,
stupid.
yeah, I did not like how long the ending was and where it went after the initial show ended. Again, that's a mess.
Yeah. I mean, I like that they interrupted and the podcast guy explained everything. I thought
Yeah.
that was a really good. But then after that, I was like, no, 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 no. You fucked the movie. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's it.
Well, that's that. And now
Final
we're going to
thoughts
move
are
on to
I am
it's still a skip for me. What do you think?
I'm gonna go soft watch still. I think there's enough
Okay.
here if you want to go see a dumb fun action movie. I like this more than The Predator, so Predator
Ooh,
Badlands.
oh no, no.
Yeah.
There was more deep thought and resonance in Predator Badlands than there was in this. Edgar and Michael Bacall, please get your shit together and do some
I don't know. I
judicious
like this
editing
more than I
when
like
you have
Bad.
your script. Oh,
But I
boy.
still gave that
I mean,
a
listen,
soft watch too because it is what it is.
those kinetic action sequences in this are good, just not enough to save the film.
Yeah.
And Glenn was not enough to save the film.
Glenn
That
was a
big,
miscast,
chunky,
and so was
chunky
Brolin.
shelf butt of his, yeah.
Chunky
No, I actually liked Brolin. I think
I
Brolin
did
makes a
not.
really good, like the snake in Jungle Book, just a sexy smile before he eats you, you know? So yeah.
Those teeth were bad. They were bad.
Okay. So by the way, Brolin's looking fucking hot. Hello. All right, so here we go. Keeper is our next. This is a horror film. Let's dive in quick. Directed by Oz Perkins. Perkins is very much a Watch Skip Plus kind of regular because we've done both Long Legs. I think we had Sammy on for that. And then we also did The Monkey with you. And so Oz Perkins, if you want to know more about him, you can certainly deep dive on those other episodes. His father is Anthony Perkins, who famously played Norman Bates in Psycho. But his other films, so you mentioned the term slowcore, which I love. I love that to describe a horror film because Perkins is not the only one to do this, but there are films, and I'm looking at like It Follows, some other horror films.
I was going to say Innkeepers, Ty West's Innkeepers. That is
Yes,
like
Ty
the
West.
key slowcore. And then when I say
Yeah.
slowcore, it's the opposite of hardcore horror because it's almost PG-13. It's all build up. It's all build up to one big final moment.
Yeah.
And that's
Totally.
what they
Please
are.
do that
They're-
again. I want to record. I want to
No,
record
it's-
that as my ringtone.
And all it's
okay,
one big, long, slow, they just slowly build until you get one
Yes.
smacker of an ending.
Right,
And that's what a slowcore film is. And I think you can go back to indie horror in the 2000s that really kind of brought this into
Sure,
the main.
boosted up that sort of, we call it, so when we say deliberate, sometimes that's code for the movie is boring, or it's deliberately paced, like you said, like it's all build up, slow burn, and then there's a reveal or there's some kind of third act shenanigans with lots of blood. So Perkins, I think, obviously, like Michael Bacall, tried to be an actor. He's in Legally Blonde. He looks really weird in that movie. But he started with the three you mentioned offline with me were Blackcoat's Daughter, which was kind of an interesting, I had seen that, I think, at a festival. And it really, as slow as it was and deliberate paced, it did stick with me because it was really creepy. And then Gretel and Hansel, which was like his sort of retelling of that fable.
That's his
which
third
I have
film.
his third film. I've come around to that. I actually love that. And
Yeah,
then
you love it.
I am the pretty thing that lives in the house.
Yep, I am the pretty thing that lives in the house. And that actually might be my favorite of the three. And I know it's your least favorite of the three.
Really?
And you said I
hated
hated
that one.
that. I did not hate it at all, actually. I really,
Okay.
really fucking dug it. It brought me back to the way I felt with Innkeepers. And I like the way that it just ends with a scream, It brings me back to these old school 70s horror films like The Changeling and those type of things I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
So it is grief core. There's a lot of
Grief
grief.
core, right.
There's a lot of grief
And
in
then-
that film. And while Blackcoat's Daughter is sad, I think it's more of a zinger of an ending, kind of like an M. Night Shyamalan swing with a twist
Sure.
there, which you can see when you rewatch it. It's so not a twist at all. It's kind of the same thing as the original M. Night movie that everyone loves with Bruce Willis. Why can't I remember Bruce Willis movies?
I See Dead People, Sixth Sense.
Gosh, I am having a hard time with Bruce Willis.
His other films then, Long Legs and then The Monkey, obviously, The Monkey, Stephen King again, right? But these films represent an evolution. Like they contain some of his slow core, but I think Long Legs more so has that kind of like slow core. But you mentioned the fact that, like M. Night Shyamalan, if you go back and watch Oz Perkins films, you can see that everything is there. And it's kind of like, oh wait, how did I miss that? Right?
Mhm.
But I think Long Legs, now some people are coming back and saying it was like overrated, but I think Long Legs was very good at setting up that atmosphere, which I really loved. Now,
I think it works as a dark comedy. The more I watch Long Legs, I think he really was
Oh.
leaning into the monkey more so than we realized at the time. And that, I
Yeah.
think, threw some people off. There are some people in the group who thought it was the most frightening thing in the world. And when I started calling it a comedy, they were like, what the fuck, dude? That frightened me to my core.
so-
And I was like, oh, I thought it was a comedy.
his last three films, Long Legs, Monkey, and this film, were distributed by Neon. And I think that Neon runs a really good fucking marketing campaign.
They did.
And sometimes, like Long Legs, it's not the movie you're getting,
Mhm.
right? They marketed The Monkey really well. That was definitely spastic gore craziness. The marketing for this has been very canny. And in fact, the first, I think, the opening sequence of this film was tagged at the end of The Monkey. So this film was filmed simultaneously with The Monkey. And what ended up happening was when there was a guild strike or a union strike, they decided to. Now, I know people might look at Oz the wrong way, but they decided to go to Canada and film this film, which was going to be his next one. And what they ended up doing was they used actors who could waive their SAG-AFTRA eligibility to work on a non-union project. They also hired a Canadian writer who was not part of the Writers Guild. This is Nick Lepard, to write this film, and they got it done by the time the strike ended and they were able to resume on The Monkey. So that's why the opening sequence was tagged at the end of this, and they were able to make it simultaneously. Does that sound a little weirdly like union busting? Okay, maybe.
My wife works in Utah, and there's a lot of non-union films done here too.
To be sure, it goes a long. Yeah. It happens a lot.
People come to Utah because we're not a union. We're a right to work state. So films come here for that reason, unfortunately. And they go to Canada for that same reason.
Exactly. And that is, unfortunately, it's something people don't know about the industry that we don't necessarily talk about. Okay, so Nick Lepard, writer, screenwriter here. His only other credit is, wait for it, Dangerous Animals.
Dangerous Animals,
which we talked about before, that we fell in love with. Yeah. Directed by Sean Byrne. Our music is by Ido Van Bremen. He works a lot with Oz. Probably best known for also scoring the Hardy Boys TV show. He's also in a band called Brastronaut, which I think is one of the coolest fucking names for a band. Our DP is Jeremy Cox. Cox has done a lot of shorts as well as some television. He's worked up in the camera department on Longlegs and Monkey, and he was one of the people that Oz sort of like stole to go up to Canada to film this, and this is his first cinematographer credit. Our cast, very small cast. We've got Tatiana Maslany, She-Hulk herself. She's also a very dramatic actress. She's been on Broadway. My understanding is that she competed in the Canadian improv games. So I think this just tells you the kind of level of commitment that she has in terms of an actress. We all know her from Orphan Black. Talk about acting and disguises, by the way. Glen Powell, listen the fuck up and watch Tatiana Maslany in Orphan Black, because she really disappears into her characters, and they're not just, let's put on a different wig, let's put on a different whatever, let's do an accent. Powell, you can learn something here. What do you think about Tatiana?
Yeah, I like her. I thought she's really good in She-Hulk. People shit on that show, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I know you have. I don't know if you've watched that one. I thought it was fun.
I only saw the pilot. I can see where people love it. I think it's fun, but
it is. Yeah, if you I can't believe you haven't watched the whole thing. The shit that you like, you would eat this up. I mean, the Megan Thee Stallion twerking and all that shit. It's so
honestly, out of all of the MCU series, I've only seen 3 of them. I've only seen Ms. Marvel, WandaVision, and the Captain America series or whatever.
I
need to watch some of those, I guess.
She-Hulk is one you need to watch for sure, because she's so funny, and her improv style of comedy comes through big time.
Yeah. But let it be known, improv is the perfect training ground for dramatic acting as well. And so she really does it. She really sells it. I love this girl. In this. I mean, she was also in The Monkey too, as that really kind of like super cool mom.
I love that was that kind of
odd.
Really cool but not good mom.
Right, I know. Like the mom that'll smoke with you, but maybe isn't the best mom in the world. Whatever. I really liked her portrayal in that. Our other lead is Rossif Sutherland, who I noticed him as the sexy bear husband in Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor. But what I didn't realize is that his father is, in fact, Donald Sutherland. And so he is a half-brother to Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah, he's part of the Sutherland dynasty, folks. I had no idea. No fucking clue. But I think the reason why we don't know about Rossif is acting wasn't his first choice. He was born and raised in Paris, basically. He was into art and singing songs and things like that. And he only ended up getting into acting, I think, because he was at Princeton University, the lead in a short film he wanted to do, like Tank crapped out, and he ended up doing it. And then suddenly his father was like, you can do this, do it. And he's been in a lot of Canadian television shows. So The Handmaid's Tale, a bunch of other ones, most recently Murder in a Small Town, which I watched the first season and fucking hate that show. But he's good. But he's good in it. Kristen Kruk is in that. I love her. She's adorable. Chun-Li herself. Also, she was Lana Lang in Smallville. But that show fucking sucks. Basically, it's about a guy that moves to a small town, and he's the sheriff, and he solves mysteries. And in the pilot, he ends up dating somebody who's tangentially related to the murder. And then each episode is a new murder. It's dumb. Anyway, but I love Rossif Sutherland. What do you think of him?
You know, I'm going through his filmography, and I don't watch a lot of TV, which he does a lot of. So
A lot of Canadian television, yeah.
I didn't really recognize him, but there's only a couple movies I've seen him in, and I didn't really recognize him in those. So
got it.
And it looks like his first movie was Timeline, which I used to love, but I don't remember him in it. So
fucking love Timeline. But just so everybody knows, there are close-ups of Tatiana's feet in the bath. But Rossif does not get the piggies out for this. So
no, he doesn't get anything out, really.
And then we've got two other actors. Burkett Turton, he plays a very annoying fucking character in this. And then Eden Weiss, she's gorgeous. She only has this and one other project under her belt, so she's relatively new. I'm just going to let you know before we head into spoiler-free thoughts on this, there's a lot of divisiveness over this because people, I think, that jumped on the Oz train with Longlegs and Monkey, I think they are very much disappointed by this. So speaking of, that's a good segue. I'm going to start with my spoiler-free thoughts on this.
And I think we're going to go short on spoiler-free on this, probably more so than there's a lot more to spoil.
Oh, look, nipple slip. Oh, wow, smuggling raisins, folks. It is cold. It is cold in my town.
That's a diamond cutter there.
Lord. Okay, I'm sorry. Ooh, what were we talking about? Jesus.
We're talking about doing a shorter non-spoiler because we got to really dive into spoilers for this.
Yeah, so for this film, you really can't discuss much unless you discuss the actual story. So I'll start with my spoiler-free thoughts because I'd love to hear yours. And let me just start by saying I fucking hated this movie. It fell into that ridiculous horror trope of that slowcore style of horror film. So our friends over at Wild Dream Podcast, they do a really great trope on these type of horror films that they are just chock full of discordant music, scenes that start afar and then they slowly zoom in to show somebody troubled and scared.
And you don't see what they're seeing ever.
Yes, ever.
They're seeing something that you don't see. They don't let you see what they're seeing.
Just and just weird, I'm not going to say Dutch tilts, but just these low, unsettling angles and then something appearing in the background with either a sting or without a sting. So this is what independent horror has sort of come to, right?
Slowcore.
And slowcore. And sometimes it's not a bad thing, but it's primarily done or was done as a way to shoot around a limited budget to create atmosphere, you know? But I think the problem is Oz has done this before, so I was on to his tricks. Every low budget horror film does this as well. And so without it being compelling enough to get you into this story, I think it didn't work here. It just was too slow for me. I think right off the bat, we realize, girl, you're in for a hurting. But then what's weird is that there's all these visual things that foreshadow what may or may not be coming. But if you're paying attention, you can see where this ending is going to go. but unfortunately, I think it's too slow. There weren't enough sequences to sort of scare me and get me invested. There's a lot of what the fuck is going on? What is it with this goddamn cake? And I did not fall under its spell. And I just fucking hated this.
To you, it tastes like shit?
Yes. It tastes like shit. We'll get to that in this spoiler section, but yeah, unfortunately, it tasted like shit. She's super engaging. Tatiana knocks this out of the park, and but for her, and I probably would not have stayed on with this. I probably would have walked out. There are some weird eccentricities of her performance that make you go, "What is going on here?" And I don't think that they tie it in enough. Rossif is really good, if not cold. Like, he's a cold, sexy bear. That's about it. That's about it. And there's something obviously very devious and diabolical going on with him, but this just was, it's all style, no substance. And by the time I got the reveal, I was like, my time has been wasted. So unfortunately, quote unquote, I fucking hate this movie. Let's put that on a box, folks. I fucking hate this movie. Watch Skip Plus, comma, Cupcake. Let's put that on a poster. Yeah, it's a skip. Huge skip. I cannot wait to hear this. Go for it.
Well, put this on the box. I fucking loved this movie. I thought it was a bomb. But I think it worked because I binged on his other 3 films. Having rewatched all of those in the order of which he made them, this fits in that world, and I think it is very fucking good. It is. It's almost like the slowcore genre of music. I look at the bands Low. There's a lot of slowcore music, which I really like, but it is all those things that some people hate. It is slow, drawn out, very kind of, think of like old Radiohead, when you could just hear Tom York's voice kind of wobbling slowly. And it doesn't fit every mood, and it isn't always done well, but I love slowcore, both musically and film. I love when something can, and I think you kind of cheapen the genre when you say that it's just for for people who are low budget, independent.
Well,
because I think
yes,
it's beyond that.
I agree. That was, I agree. That phrasing was reductive, but it's become a style that people have embraced, and it's mainly been indie stuff. Like, if it's not found footage, it's this. And so that's where I was coming from.
Because the budget, right? Because there's not a lot of people who are into this style of music. And I think that this is what old school, I don't know. I think this is what OG Oz Perkins fans want, and I think he delivers. When you told me you did not like The Pretty Things, then I kind of had an idea you did not like.
You were like, "Oh, we're in trouble, folks."
If you like The Pretty Things in the Wall, you are going to like this. If you don't like The Pretty Things in the Wall, you will not like this. They're just really, they're so similar, and to me, that's a banger. And it all because the lead actress in that and the lead actress in this. To me, Tatiana is fucking amazing in this. There's a scene where she just drops a tear that is so, I felt that emotion where she was that tear was just fucking perfect. She is so,
it was fantastic.
She's so good in this.
She's so good. There's a scene of desperation in here, which we'll get to in the spoiler, that I think she knocked out of the park. She's sitting in front of a mirror just to tee that up for you.
This is like back to back this with Alex Garland's Men, and you'll get what the fuck you're getting. It is a slow,
oh my God. So that was the comp. That was the comp that I was going to mention, but I feel like it was going to spoil things. This is Oz Perkins' answer to Men.
Yeah,
they
I don't
would
think
make
that spoils anything.
I think they would make a great double feature. How did you feel about this reveal of what we were really, really going through?
What we were really watching in the end?
Yeah.
I fucking dug it. I was like, I was in it from the beginning. I knew what I was getting. I had been prepared. if you don't go into this prepared, you're not going to know exactly what you're getting. If you just watch The Monkey and you go, I like that weird mom, she's going to be funny in this. No, you're in the wrong movie. This is not like The Monkey at all. This is not like Longlegs. This is, and some people are like, oh, Neon has ruined Oz Perkins, the neonification of Oz Perkins. Let's talk about that. Shut the fuck up, Reddit. This isn't the neonification. They've just saw a talent and gave him some money and a blank check and said, you do you. We like what you do.
We should be celebrating Neon and chastising them for the marketing campaigns.
Now the marketing,
but you know what? But this happens with everybody.
It gets
it happens with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen a trailer that was like, this is not what was sold to me, or the trailer's better than the movie? But you know, for serious film goers, we don't care about the trailer. We should not.
No, but this is, I felt like the trailer is what you kind of get. I mean, it sells it exactly what it is. It sells it as a tone poem. It sells it as a slow core build-up horror like OG Oz Perkins films. But unfortunately, I think there's not many people know those earlier films. So if you haven't, I would highly recommend watching all three of those. As we mentioned them before, A Pretty Thing That Lives in the Walls, The Black Coat's Daughter, which is called February in the UK, I believe. And then the other film is called Gretel and Hansel, which I think is the weakest of his first three. I like it, but it's, to me, that style over substance.
So this is interesting. Back when we reviewed, I think Longlegs was the first. I went back and I remember watching Gretel and Hansel and being like, "Fuck this movie," and then I rewatched it and I really fell in love with it. And I've seen it like I think 5 times more, and it grows richer each time I watch it. And if there is any film that Keeper mirrors, I would say it's Gretel and Hansel out of those 3 that you just mentioned.
Yeah, it's because this is a full, I mean, he said it is a folk horror film. It is what
it's kind of like a regional fairy, if you can call Canada regional, fairy tale-esque kind of like gothic horror.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But in the end, I'm going to give it a watch. You're giving it a skip. We got to fucking spoil this shit.
I know. Actually, you know what? Neon, I think on the box for this, it should say, I fucking love this movie, watch Skip Plus. And then at the bottom, I fucking hate this movie, watch Skip Plus. And just have people be like, what's going on with this? I don't know if I want to rent this. So yeah, anyway. It's a skip for me. Okay, if you have not seen Keeper, and we do recommend that you do see it. Let's support our artists and Oz, who I think is a skilled filmmaker, whether we like his stuff or not. But we're going to spoil it faster than you can say piggies in a tub in 3, 2, 1. So, all right. So just to set it up for the friends and listeners, it opens with that tag where we're seeing women from a POV, and the women, I think there's like 3 or 4 of them. There's a beautiful redhead in colonial times. There is a woman who appears to be in the 50s or 60s. There's an Asian woman who's maybe modern, I guess, in like modern bathtub or whatever. And what you're seeing is a montage where they're happy, but then the next clip is there's some kind of conflict between whoever the POV is. And then there is that sort of like loud, like screaming where they're dying and they're covered in
splatters of blood, and it's all just so fast paced. And you're like, what the
Very
fuck?
disturbing. Yes. And then suddenly, boom, we're in, and we cut to Tatiana Maslany, ostensibly like one of those women. And so that opening foreshadows, because she's talking, oh, we're going away for a weekend, this and that. So we know from that opening, she's going to end up yelling at the guy. She's going to end up splattered in blood, maybe. And so as the movie goes along, there's this guy, I think he's a doctor because he talks about a patient. He's got this crazy cabin, which, by the way, the cabin, the way that they shoot this thing, it feels like they're living in a puzzle cube. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's wood everywhere, but there's stairs that are almost Escher-like that shouldn't be there, but they're addressing each other from these different levels. What
Mhm.
did you think about the production design of this cabin?
The production design is awesome, and I love that the home is basically just a trap. It's a trap to trap
Yes.
humans and to make everything outside go yum yum. What's inside? Because there's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
blinds. There's no way for you to ever hide yourself from
Yes.
a window. And there's no way to hide that. And I loved when all that came together because I was like, why the fuck is this like big house with no fucking window sill? Like there's no closings of the
Well,
windows. There's no like shades. There's nothing. And they're just the big arching windows that are open.
yeah.
And she even mentions how she just feels like she's
Open
being
and
watched.
anybody can see. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Totally. Like she's being watched.
I mean, the movie
And then we get
basically
that
tells you
great.
every fucking thing you need it to tell you to realize that this is very much like Hereditary. This is a witch
Yeah.
revenge film. Let's just get it out there. This is a 200 years in the making revenge for the death of a witch and her her children that she gives birth to come back and keep coming every year. And these guys, or I don't know how often they keep coming. They didn't really paint that picture, but they
It's
keep feeding them
actually,
women. Did they mention it?
yes, they did. So, jumping ahead to the full reveal, basically what had happened was we realized that Rossif Sutherland, the main guy, is something like 200 years old.
Mhm.
And what ended up happening was he and his brother had shot and killed a
pregnant
woman who,
witch.
a pregnant, well, so we see her as somebody who's pagan. She's pagan. She worships nature. She's connected
She's
to
Wiccan.
nature, and she's Wiccan. So a lot of the shots that we see that are set up, we've got this cabin which is made of wood. We've got shots of like the forest and everything. So there's a very naturalistic kind of setting or visual storytelling that we're getting. But what's interesting is that, they're always in these boxes. There's always like these wood
Mhm.
boxes that they're being shot through. And at times characters will be talking and there's something obscuring like the whole left of field or whatever. And then sometimes an actor will come in and deliver their lines and their whole head is blocked out by something in the home or whatever, right? So there's a lot of foreshadowing going on. And I guess for me, it just didn't work when all of it came together, but I see where he was going. This is why I say that like Perkins is actually a really, really skilled filmmaker in terms of
Mhm.
creating these tone poems or putting these things together. So what happens is as a young boy 200 years ago, he kills this woman. They drag her into the barn. She ends up having a baby, but the baby ends up being this weird, scary spiritual monster. And like you said, he and his cousin are feeding these monsters, these monster children that live in the forest, feeding them women so that they can remain immortal, basically. And part of what they do is they bake them this cake, which is supposed to make them like fall asleep so that the monsters can come in and then like possess them. Now, I will say the creature design is interesting, but for the
Cool.
Q-tip head that like extends, that looks like something weird out of
Did
the
their freaking
X-Files.
cum out of its mouth?
Oh God, it's like dripping
So
or whatever.
gross.
And it's like it's
That
so
shit was
disgusting. It's like,
gross. And it's such a simple
Bubba.
mask, right? But it's so fucking scary. There's
is
just
scary.
so many simple touches of this, and that screams
Right.
like old folklore, right? The look of these creatures.
The creature design is really good, and we even get like when she finally, is trying to be overtaken by the ghost, which we'll reveal what that's about. But you see this weird like altar that they've created, and they're all coming out, and they're like, and they're gross looking. So basically he's been sacrificing these women, and
Mhm.
we see him in a closet, and there are these boxes with the women's names. But if you look closely, he has to kill them 1 year from the day that he meets them.
Okay.
And so I swear it says like November 22nd, 2024, and then November 22nd, 2025. right? So it's you know, and then there's that creepy scene where he goes in there and he's like, "Hello, Lisa," and he's like looking at the box and he's like smelling their like underwear or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, you fucking kill them to live. Like, don't revisit them. Like, stop
Yeah.
being a psycho, right? But let me ask you this. I think I caught on to something that as these things were going along that I realized she is going to get the upper hand and not die. She's going to turn the tables. Now, I
Yeah.
didn't know how that was going to happen, but what I saw was in the beginning, he's holding her hand, and then he takes his hand off of her hand, and she's wearing like this blue ring. The blue ring is similar to the one the cousin wears when he comes into the home with the butcher's knife,
Uh-huh.
ostensibly, I think, trying to kill her so that he can feed her to the, you know,
Mhm.
the demons.
Because for some reason
But
she lived through the night, which normally they don't live while he leaves because he
yeah,
left her alone.
so he forces her to Rossif forces her to eat the slice of cake, but she doesn't fall asleep. She wakes up and she actually ends up eating the entire fucking cake. In a very weird what the fuck is going on scene where she's like,
And isn't there some
and then
kind of
like, you
bloody
know,
goo inside there? At one point, it looked like
I
there was
don't know
chunks of
what was
flesh.
in it. It looked like, yeah, it looked like a dead rat inside. Whatever it was very uncomfortable to watch. But what's weird is when the cousin comes in and he's wearing that ring, he gets slaughtered by the demon. Like it cuts his head off. And I was
Yep.
like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
And that's when
wait
you're
a
like,
minute. Isn't he in on this?
whoa, yes.
Yeah.
And I
And
was
so,
cheering once I realized. I was like, oh fuck, these
and
guys are
so
in cahoots. They're trying to kill her, but the spirits that they're normally feeding them to are not wanting to be killed, not wanting to kill her, because what's the big reveal?
because the big reveal is she looks
She
exactly
isn't.
like
And
the
look, she is
mother.
the reincarnation
Well, she's
of
the,
Mother.
yeah,
She is the
she's the
reincarnation of Mother.
reincarnation, right? Which explains why when he is like, "Let's go on a hike," they go out and she has this weird reverie, like by the by the lake, which is
She
where she was
remembers.
murdered. And then she sees the locket in there, and then she opens it. Now, I can't remember if we see what's inside the locket, but later in the film, we see there's a picture in there that looks exactly like her.
And every
Um,
time in the movie when she has these revelations of remembering, it's shown in like a kaleidoscope where you see, like you're looking through one of those
yes,
kids' kaleidoscopes and you see
right.
her in
And
multiple ways.
the image is superimposed of the river because
Yeah.
we're meant to connect visually that when we find out the mother was murdered by the lake, that's what all of this is going on.
Yep.
And when the model, so the cousin, the annoying character, feeds the model to a creature in the forest.
Such a cool
But
kill.
it is a cool kill because you don't what you think is a boulder ends up like eating her or whatever. That was great, like Jaws was fantastic.
Yeah, it was
But
awesome.
that dovetails with the imagery of her running into the forest and then they chase her to kill her again and drag her back, right?
Mhm.
So what ends up happening is she gets the upper hand
Yeah.
and they basically kill that guy's ass or
They
whatever.
needed somehow, it's not 100% explained, and this is there is some issues with the writing. This unknown writer who's only written one other film, I think he bites off more than he can chew because there is some glaring like big holes, right? So how come they choose where they're at in their life that they don't they are stuck at 40? Why are they stuck at 40? Why are they still not children if they've continued doing this? Why are they aging to one point and
Right.
not? But again, I think you have to turn all that off because the reality is there's some witchcraft. These witch children have been planning and using the energy of the women that they keep killing and granting them life because they're using this to build this super creature with multiple eyes that has the souls and spirits of all of the women that they've killed to help
Yes.
reincarnate their mother.
Their
And it
mom.
took them 200 years to finally get their revenge. And yes, there's a shit ton of endings, but my God, when you get that final ending reveal and his face is all shrunk the fuck up and he's all old and
Yeah.
they dip him into that. And we keep seeing that. Because what we come to understand is the children kept her head in like ember or some kind of a honey.
Yeah.
to keep it,
Yep.
good and so that they
Preserved.
could
Yeah.
bring her back to life. So once
And
all
then they
comes
hang him upside
upside
down, and
down,
he's old now, and then they just drop him into that vat. So it's,
I
it's
loved it.
very much like a twisted Grimm's fairy tale.
And he had the
Listen,
Benjamin Button face. I love that.
oh my god.
They
But
dip
it
his fucking ass
completely
in there.
and then we get the slow-mo close-up shot of his head going in there and the ooze coming out
And then
like
she's
McTrump
finally
or whatever.
realizing these are my children and this is my calling. This is why I'm here. As her eyes are black and all the children are coming to her. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Loved.
I have to say it's an impactful ending, but everything before it, I just kind of was like,
If
come on.
you don't,
'Cause I feel like
can't
they
get
could have
into
sped
it,
it up.
I get it. If you can't get into
Yeah.
that type of film, and like you said, you couldn't get into the pretty things because this is the most like that, where everything you
Yeah.
see is kind of, you see these weird characters kind of sitting, and then in the pretty things, there's like an upside down chair that he like hangs up on the wall on purpose that just fucks with your
Yeah.
head the whole time.
You're like,
You're
why
like,
is that
why
there?
is that there? But a lot of this doesn't make sense, but it is to put you kind of in a trajectory where you feel off kilter. So once the big reveal does happen and you're starting to piece things together, you feel yourself getting more, in line, and then boom, it hits and you're realizing, oh fuck, this is just revenge, baby. Let's
So-
do this.
Yeah, I do like that twist in that story, and I think that everybody wants context, right? Like if you
Yeah.
go onto social media and somebody mentions something, but we don't know the context, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, why, right? And so I would liken Oz Perkins films and any kind of like horror film that sort of echoes this type of slow core, like you talked. I would liken it to trying to put together a puzzle when you don't have the picture of the completed puzzle. And so you keep getting these pieces, but you don't know the context of it. And sometimes I say this phrase often, the punchline isn't worth the joke
Yeah.
or the lead up. And
Because-
that's how I felt about this.
Yeah.
But I think what Oz is kind of doing, also, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like Wiccan, or like maybe a Satanist or whatever. Like,
Oh, for
you
sure.
do you, Oz Perkins, but he very much loves to craft these
Pagan.
Gothic fairy tales and pagan fairy tales, which is why I think Gretel and Hansel is more along the lines of this film because of that. But you mentioned men, and I think the reason why this film reminds me of that is Garland does a lot of that in Men. We don't know the context of why she's seeing these things. Why does every male look like fucking Rory Kinnear? Which I didn't mind because I think Rory Kinnear is sexy, and he got his fucking sausage out too. Thank you, Rory Kinnear. I watch Men all the time. But in this one, it's really from the woman's point of view,
Yeah.
and her taking the power back in terms of, okay, you did this to me. Well, even though it's 500 years in the making, I'm going to get my revenge on you and fuck you.
It's
And
feminist
your-
as
and your
fuck.
little brother. Yeah, it is. It's a Gothic feminist fairy tale. I'm just sad I didn't. Maybe this will be like Gretel and Hansel. I'll watch it again and fall in love with it. But
I
as a
hope.
theatrical experience, I was like, fuck this. But the scene I wanted to talk about, Maslany's so good.
God,
Like, but
fucking
you
is
were
she good.
talking about that scene where
She's
he's like,
crying.
oh, I gotta leave
And
you
she
here by yourself.
realizes deep inside,
And-
like, fuck, I'm stuck here and he is not going to let me leave. I am not leaving here alive. And she knows it, but she wants
one
to be
tear
there.
comes.
She's scared, but
she's
at the
like-
same time, there's a comfort, and that's because her children are slowly, everything we see is her children slowly coming to her. There's a scene where you see a heart done behind her in the shower or in the
Yes.
tub, and that's one of her children, and visibly like putting a little heart there. God, I love just
Right.
that little
I
stuff.
mean, so the one scene I really did love is when Rossif explains everything to her, and he says to her, so you're gonna die. And then her reaction to that was just
Oh.
chef's kiss. Like,
It was.
the desperation, all of that just came. I was like, wow. And then when she's in the cellar and they're all crawling on her and she's thinking they're going to like kill her, but they're just like, mommy, it's you.
And she
she's
realizes.
screaming. Oh my God. And then she realizes, yeah, okay, I may come around, but it's still a skip, unfortunately.
Hey, when we say watch Skip Plus, We're talking about you putting the time and effort to going to the theater and seeing these. It doesn't mean we don't
Yes.
want you to see these, but we know the effort it takes to go to the movies. So our watch is, yes, go watch this in the theaters. What he's saying is doesn't mean don't see this at all. It means I would
Right.
probably recommend waiting and seeing this at home. Save your money. I'm saying go see it in the theater because I thought it worked as a theatrical experience, being immersed without having other distractions. But I also get people who will fall asleep in this in the dark theater by themselves.
Listen, friends and listeners, and especially the young ones, if one of us says, I fucking hate this movie, it doesn't mean don't go.
Yeah.
If you want to see this movie, if you want to see Glen Powell and his low arches running,
And
then
all
you-
the super glued on.
then you go Velcroed on probably. I think part of the theatrical experience of exhibition is going to a movie and being like, I fucking hated that. I wasted my
Sure.
money. But you know what? But that's the thing though. That's the fun of the movie going experience is
Sure.
that you go, you have an experience, you're locked in. You should not be on your phone while it's happening. And then you get to experience it and figure out how you feel about it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, if I'm saying it fucking sucks, that doesn't mean don't ever watch it
No.
or wait till streaming. Make up your own mind.
Make up
and
your
then
own mind.
come back to the comments and tell us.
And know
or
what
I'll
we
get my
feel.
diamond cutters out and cut you.
And what we're doing is we're reacting because we have only seen these movies sometimes 24 hours or less from when we're recording. So
yeah.
we're not like one of those folks that have sat down and saw this 2 weeks before and wrote down notes. And because we're not that kind of show, we want to let you know the emotional impact of seeing film in a theater and how it made us feel. What we're telling you to do is to follow your heart, make your own fucking decision. Well, see the
Right.
first 3 Oz
But-
Perkins movies, and if you like those, give this a try. If you don't and you've only seen the Monkey and Long Legs, then you probably aren't going to love this. I'm just going to be open and honest.
It's a beast of a different fur.
Way
Is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might gamble at buying a ticket for a film and hate it, but the fact of the matter is if we don't keep exhibition going, the film going experience, the theater going experience is going to disappear, and
Yeah.
it will all be streamers,
true.
and I don't think we want that.
Yep. And
You
great
know?
films
I
split
don't think we want
people,
that.
right? Like look at The
They
Shining.
do.
So The Shining split people in fucking half when it came out. Like
Yeah.
some people loved it and many, including Stephen King, hated it. So plenty films
Yeah.
we realize now are a classic that have split audiences. And I think Keeper's one of those that could be a classic slowcore in the making, like a Changeling, like The Innkeeper, something that someone says, I like those slow build horror movies. What do you recommend? I think this
Yeah.
could be, again, anything by Oz Perkins is he's kind of become the king of slowcore. So
Yeah.
but I also am
Expect it.
excited for Hokum by the guy who did Oddity, which this reminded me a lot of as well. Did you see
Oh,
Oddity?
yeah. I loved
And Caveat.
Oddity. So, okay, well, I mean, it's still a skip for me.
Skip for you, hard watch for me.
I actually was going to mention our friends at Wild Dream Podcast. They like us will see the film and then immediately jump in and record an episode. And so they call it fresh takes.
Yeah,
But that's essentially what we're doing. Like
exactly.
24 hours, 48 hours is the most that will pass before we jump in and record. And so you are getting fresh takes, folks. I just didn't want to steal their phrase.
You get
so,
more
anyway.
emotional takes too, because we're not analyzing every little detail. We're telling you how we felt watching the film. We're just here to tell you to go to the movie theaters, and these are the movies that we see.
You know how we have book clubs? People should start film club, meaning all y'all go to the movie theater and then pick your favorite haunt afterwards and discuss the movie.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And
That's
then
what we basically do. I look forward to this every week so I can sit and talk to you about all the
absolutely.
things I feel. And sometimes I don't want to let everybody know. I used to, the minute I saw a movie in theaters, I would blab, put a big review out there and let everyone know how I felt. Now I try to be a little bit more wink, wink. So I'm trying to entice
Good.
people, listen to the podcast because I want you to know what it feels like. And that's why I always liked, even before I joined the podcast, because after I watched a movie, if I didn't have someone to go with me, like many of us don't, film fans don't have other film fans all the time. So we go to the movies a lot by ourselves, and we do sometimes miss out on that conversation. So listening to this show before I became a part of it was me being able to kind of listen in on other people talking about the film, and I would always side with one of
Yeah.
you more than the other, and I hope that's what people get out of our show and our version of the show.
Well, I know for a fact there are a couple listeners that yell at the radio when they are listening to us. So there you go. All right. So yeah, double feature, fun. But if you love us, please make sure that you are definitely subscribing, especially in the YouTube channel, because as you know, folks, the higher subscribers, the more we get to keep doing this. It's the best way to support us. Also, please also follow us on Spotify, which is technically our home. We do everything on there, sort of like they've been our home, period, just in terms of video as well. But YouTube obviously has greater reach because it's popular. If you love us, you'll also love our Podfathers. We've mentioned them, The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema and Not a Bomb. You'll also love the OG's Night of the Living podcast. I had the pleasure and honor of meeting Andy for the first time. Love him. He's fantastic. Wild Dream podcast, Death by DVD, Raiders of the podcast, Backlook Cinema podcast with Zoe, our YouTube brothers, the two Johns, and now for something a little bit different, Caliber 9 from Outer Space, Feminine Critique, and Talk Without Rhythm with Goro. Mike, parting thoughts. We've talked about a lot on this.
We have. Just get out to the movies. This is the time where a lot of movies need us to get out there and support them. So get out there and support film and art in the live. What do you call it? Live exhibition. So yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
Get out there.
Get out there. And in 2026, there's a killer monkey movie. So there
I
you
can't
go.
fucking wait for Primate, yo.
But as always, folks, be kind, be open, be vulnerable. That's where the art is. And we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Woohoo. All right.